All right, welcome back to Made by Dad. He does the making, I do the talking. Same deal as always. Today, though, this one's a little softer than usual. No castles, no dungeons, no ruined worlds this time. Just a spot, a mountain with a waterfall coming down it, a stream, some trees, some flowers, and a little gazebo tucked in at the edge, with 2 people inside it. You don't see much of them, just enough to know they're there, together, somewhere quiet, somewhere they don't want to be found. I'll be honest, when he first showed me this one, I wasn't sure how to feel about it. It's such a different thing from what we usually do here. But sometimes, you build the thing you didn't expect to want to build, and it ends up being your favorite. This one's for anyone who ever built a fort out of blankets, anyone who ever lay on their belly in the grass and stared at a bug for too long. Anyone who ever sat somewhere quiet with somebody they loved and just didn't feel like leaving. Let's get into it. So, here's something wild about tiny water. Real diorama artists say water is one of the hardest things to fake, especially moving water. Waterfalls, streams, splashes, anything with motion in it. Because water in real life is transparent and reflective and moving, all at once. To convince a human brain that a still, plastic thing is water, that's a whole trick. Best miniaturists have a whole toolkit for it. Clear resin poured in layers, waiting weeks for each layer to cure. Hot glue strings pulled while they're still soft. Silicone caulk for foam. Sometimes just carefully placed threads, dipped in gloss, one at a time. There's a technique where you paint the bottom of the water first, dark in the middle, lighter at the edges, and then pour clear resin over the top. When you look down, your eye reads it as depth, even though it's only a couple millimeters deep. There's an entire subculture of people who just make miniature water for a living. Woodland Scenics, Vallejo, AK Interactive, those are the brands. They sell it in kits. That's their whole thing. I never noticed any of this before Dad started building, but once you notice, you can't unnotice. You start looking at every pond and stream and puddle differently. You start seeing what somebody would have to do to fake it, which is a weird gift, and also a permanent one. There's something different about watching him build this one, because the other builds we've done have been more epic, I guess. Ruined worlds, big castles, places you'd want to explore, not sit in. This one isn't that. This is a romantic scene. 2 people in a garden. And I watched my dad, a man his age, carefully placing tiny pink flowers around a stream, adjusting the angle of a leaf, sitting back, squinting, moving it 0.5 millimeter. Never in my life did I think that was a sentence I'd say about him. But that's the thing about actually paying attention to what somebody can do. Turns out they can do a lot more than you thought. And the fact that he never showed this side before doesn't mean it wasn't there. Just means nobody asked. I keep thinking about how many people around us probably have quiet talents like that. Things they'd be great at if anyone ever pointed them toward it. Instead, they spend 40 years doing something practical. Because that's what you do. Because that's what pays. I don't know. Watching him build something this tender kind of makes me sad for everyone who never got to. And kind of makes me glad, at the same time, that he did. Something interesting about miniature plants. You can't just take real ones and shrink them. They die. They fade. Or they get weird proportions. A real bush at 1/8 scale looks like a tree with too many branches. Doesn't read right. So diorama artists have this whole art form, making fake plants that look more real than the real ones. Punched paper leaves, some of them literally 1 millimeter across. Laser-cut petals. Static grass. That's little fibers you charge with static electricity so they stand up like grass would. Powdered foliage. Dyed foam torn into shapes. Real dried moss painted for accuracy. Real twigs cut down for tree trunks. Every leaf placed one at a time, with tweezers, under magnification. A tiny flower on a build like this, one that's maybe a millimeter or two wide, that's placed by hand, one at a time. Hundreds of them per build, sometimes thousands. I timed him once, 2 hours, 14 flowers. I'm not sure what's more impressive, that Dad has the patience for that, or that his eyes still catch that scale, or that at some point in his life, he just decided this was worth doing, even though nobody was watching, even though nobody asked him to, which is maybe the definition of a real craft.
Here's something painters have known forever. The moments that stick with us, the ones that really land, aren't usually the loud ones. They're not the battles, not the explosions, not the dramatic reveals. They're the small ones. 2 people at a diner counter, not talking. Somebody standing at a window, looking out. A woman pouring milk from a jug. Vermeer, the Dutch painter, spent his entire career on tiny domestic scenes. Nothing happening, just presence. And those paintings are worth more today than most action scenes ever painted. Edward Hopper did the same thing. Andrew Wyeth. Their whole thing was quiet. 2 people existing together in one moment. Nothing loud, just there. Something about that hits us harder than any explosion could. I think a build like this taps into the same thing. 2 people in a gazebo, a waterfall behind them, flowers everywhere, nothing happening, nobody watching them. And that's exactly why it works. We spend so much of our lives moving, doing, chasing. And then somebody shows us a scene where 2 people are just standing next to a stream, together. And something inside us goes, yeah, that's the whole point of everything. So, one more thing I want to say before we close. The small stuff matters. On a build like this, Dad puts things in that nobody's ever going to notice on the first watch. A tiny deer up on the top of a cliff, a snail hidden on a stone, something moving in the water, a leaf that isn't quite like the others. That's not decoration. That's the actual craft. The reason a build feels like a real place instead of a model is because a real place has stuff you'd only notice on the 5th walkthrough. Somebody's shoe, a bird's nest, a weed growing where it shouldn't. Miniatures work the same way. If everything obvious is there, but nothing hidden is there, your brain reads it as fake, even if you can't quite say why. So Dad hides stuff. Every single build has like 10 or 15 things I didn't spot the first time. I still find new ones, months later. And every time I find one, I get a tiny hit of the same feeling I had when I was a kid, finding something small and secret in a big place, like a coin in the couch, a door in an old house, a note from someone I loved. That's the whole thing about miniatures, actually. They give that feeling back. All right, winding down. Every once in a while, a build catches me off guard. Not because it's technically impressive, although this one really is, but because it makes you slow down. You end up thinking about tiny life, about the idea of a life you could imagine yourself living, about how much room there might be inside something small, if you paid attention. For a second, you kinda want to be small enough to live in one of these worlds, to sit next to them under that gazebo, to watch the water go by, to have a spot like that, with somebody. Which is maybe the whole point of any of this. Not just diorama, not just miniature, but the whole reason people have been building tiny worlds for thousands of years. We're not trying to shrink the world. We're trying to hold it so we can look at it without it looking back. Real quick, if you're liking what Dad's doing, the subscribe button really does help. It's what makes us keep going. And if you drop a comment, I read them all to him. He doesn't speak English, so I actually translate every one. Doesn't matter what you write. Even just hi makes his day. Really. Made by Dad. That's the whole thing.